you know, and I want to just welcome everybody on YouTube as well, checking out the live stream. This is another series here, Question Everything. We've been doing the Meaning of Life series, and the thing I think now that I want to do is I want to dive into um, some of the more basic things in this life, because we spend these weeks, we come together, we elevate, and we kind of talk about all these schools of thought, and I like to bring you guys in on studying some of the more kind of prevalent known guys, as well. But I think really when it comes down to it, um, there are some basic things in this life that it's kind of like working out. If we don't take time to set the foundation, right? Uh, then unfortunately, when we try to progress into some of the more complex kind of things in life, it feels like, at least in my experience, that always have, we don't have those first few steps built. It's much more difficult to kind of advance into some of the more um, advanced concepts. So, first off, for today, per usual, let's go ahead and bring in some elevation. If you guys want to join me here, let's do some real nice centered breath per usual. Feel as though the object of the breath is to allow, right from the bottom of our spine, right, the base of the spine, the root chakra. Just try it with me. Feel as though, if when you bring in that life force on the inhale, see and feel that gust, that power coming in through that back body, through the root chakra. And for anybody who wants to kind of elevate, try a little something with me as well. Um, you know, Allow your chest, heart, and lungs to be open without any kind of obstructions, right? And as we breathe, widen those nostrils and let everything fill up. Let it inflate just like a balloon right in the gut, like we're on stage performing. And then let it sit. Feel the sensation of heightened levels of oxygen floating throughout the entire avatar, waking up the mind. Everything connecting. It feels like we're floating around the cosmos, like we are stars. So tap in with me. Do you feel that heightened level of oxygen? Do you feel all the cells in your body telling you how ready they are to take on whatever? This is the Sunday recharge. Keep breathing, peeps. Keep breathing. Feel yourself inflate like a balloon, like the stars that we are, and let it slowly seep out through the mouth. I feel like you're floating around just like me. Do some root chakra, Tibetan singing bowl for you here. Stay in the breath, friends. Connect. This is ancient sacred science shit right here, man. Oh yeah. From time to time we use a little, adult language. It's all good. Welcome to the show. Release from the mind. Just let all feeling go. We can observe the thoughts going on in our minds. If we can observe what's going on in our thoughts, and we can observe what's going on in these bodies, what does that mean about what we are? Hmm? Let it stir your spirit. Tibetan sound bowl, root chakra. So today I want to talk about the process of thought. So there's lots of different takes on what a thought is, but essentially they all point in a few very similar directions. And that is that when we perceive a thought, generally, we are relating what we are experiencing to something similar that we have experienced before. In other words, the human nature is that when we experience whether it be something new or something we've seen before in consciousness, it's human nature to relate it to something that we have already experienced. That is to say that basically it's kind of like a law of relativity, right? So if we have already stored a block of memory to what something looks like, what it smells like, what it sounds like, what it feels like, the senses, then we are predisposed to already see something in a certain way. Now, of course, I would say that I think our challenge with this is to try to declutter all of the previous predispositions, preconceived notions that we might have on something. And this goes into, of course, like clearing chakras, for example, such as, say, the root chakra, which deals with everything stored from childhood or adolescence, the different ingrained memories and values from, previous, our ancestors, those who raised us. Many times people might say, opened up an old can of worms. Essentially, just to say that there was some old memory, and when we experience something that reminds us of that, it's in our nature to automatically associate them. So I want to question us. I want to question this process a little bit. I want us to close our eyes for a minute, okay? We're just going to play an association game to see how on point this is. So I'm going to say a word and just see whatever image pops up into your mind with your eyes closed. So, soda. So what did you see? I would imagine probably a lot of us see a bottle of Coke or something similar, maybe Pepsi, I don't know. Something like that. Okay, fair enough. What about rainbow? Okay, so another very simple example. I mean, seems simple enough. We're probably all seeing the beautiful Roy G. Biv, stretched out in all of its glory in an arch of some sort, or nice up and over kind of bridge deal. Okay, but what about when we take that same approach or that same game, and what if we play it with something different? What if we say relationship? Relationship, what does that make you see? What if we look at words that sometimes are easy to assign a certain like to? What about let's say crime? Okay, let's say racism. Okay, so anyways, you get the idea. Generally speaking, we are all going to see an image of whatever we relate that to. And so I would like to kind of challenge us to redefine, right? There's a book that we use a lot in the coaching and adventuring that we go through on the chakra healings and clearing our energy space, refreshing, renewing, all that. And that's the 4 agreements. And essentially, one of the first things it talks about is, that each agreement really refers to uh, a relationship. It could be a person, a place, a thing, an idea, an entity, whatever, right? And one activity that we have found extremely helpful in order to rewire the brain is that we write down all of the people, the places, the things, the ideas, everything that we are in touch with, that we interact with on a daily basis. And we write down what the mechanics are within that relationship. And then that allows us to remember if there are any past hurts that have not been dealt with. We typically at that point, we just free write on each one, and we find, that there's usually some sort of preconceived notions on how the mechanics are supposed to work within that relationship. What is the normal operating procedure, standard operating procedure within the confines of that relationship. And we generally find a lot of where we can improve, on an individual level. We find a lot of where, maybe insecurities come out, or, um, or pride or ego or this or that. So it usually is a very helpful way of rewiring the brain, because let's think about something for a minute, right? You've heard me say this before on the show. The moment when we wake up into a period after rest, in that very moment that we open these eyes, what truly exists before we allow any of the senses, the eyes, the nose, everything, touch, before we utilize any of those senses right after waking? Does anything actually exist? Is our reality actually that? Or have we woken up and now seen, the desk in our room or the closet, and now we are relating that to all the other pieces that we remember, right? That we have chosen to store in our memory block. That's how I'll choose to say remember. Everything else that's, next to that. So then now we see our bedroom the same way we saw it yesterday. But what if in that moment we made a different decision? What if in that moment when we rise after a period of rest, what if we chose to, say, see a different color? Or what if we chose to see a different setup? Would that change what we actually see? I don't know. I'm just here to question it. So, when a thought boils down, a thought is the precursor to what? Emotion, action. It's up to you. I'm just here to help you question it. It's my experience that when a thought comes, we have four choices. It's like being at, a street that's by a freeway entrance. We have an underpass. We have the ability to keep going straight. So we get this thought. We're like, okay, sure. Maybe we're not too sure yet how we want to move on it. So there's a few options. We can keep going straight down this road, right? And keep exploring the thoughts and keep exploring the emotions that come after that, right? Precursor to manifestation. Perhaps we just want to visit with the thought, observe it. And we just want to gain and look at the clarity, or just look at the matter of fact with this. So we can take that underpass, we don't have to go into the emotion behind it. We can simply observe the thought, and so as to not enact any kind of manifestation through it, right? Because once we go from thought to emotion and intention, now we've begun to manifest that, right? So that's kind of the two choices there, I think. And then, of course, we can go completely the opposite way and just completely bypass that thought, right? Have some sort of an opposite thought to counteract that manifestation. But let's go back to the four agreements for a minute, because this is the stuff where people typically find a lot of release, is, again, by jotting down all of the relationships, all of the people, places, things, jobs, relationships, everything that's a part of everyday life, right? And if we take time to intentionally write down how the mechanics are working within this relationship we have or agreement, right? As the Four Agreements so eloquently puts it. That's Don Miguel Ruiz. Um, and this is how we get to actually just change the way that we operate from a psychological level, right? The subconscious typically is what powers emotion, right? So even if, like, has anyone ever been on uh like a newfound dedication to not letting negative thoughts, stay in mind. I'm just going to get rid of them the second that they appear. Okay. So what does that typically end up looking like, right? We start to uh, hopefully, well, at least in my experience, okay, at first, I was fighting myself. So every time a thought would come up that I was wanting to not have, in the beginning, I would fight myself. And what this resulted in was going down the road of letting the emotions have their way, right? Because a thought comes, I'm like, oh, that's negative. Okay. So, like, dang, why'd you get that thought? And then eventually, after long enough of doing that, it took me to a place of where I would, have guilt over even getting those thoughts. And that's no way to heal, right? That's no way to actually change the behavior, because it's like if you have a dog and if we discipline the dog every time that they do something, okay, so they're going to get trained to not do that. But what if that's not even a conscious decision, right? See, a lot of the thoughts that we get are subconscious. It's what's been programmed, what's been ingrained, what have we taken in for years and years, right? It takes time to change these things. So, by writing down the way that the relationship works, and this includes with ourselves, right? Just like we were just talking about, you know, we need to be kinder to ourselves. If we want to outsmart the mind, which is like one of the most powerful things in the whole universe, right? The master manifester, um, the architect. If we want to do that, then we have to take it piece by piece. At least this is my experience, and I'm not here to say that I think my way is any better, but I just want to share my experience, and hopefully there's a tidbit in there that helps you, and so on and so forth. But take a look today, even just at one of your relationships, one of your very deep relationships, someone you connect with very often, right? And you will see, after you write down the mechanics of it, there might be, I'm not saying for sure, but you might find that, the way that you've always thought you have to be with this person or with this entity was rooted in the way that we were shown when we were little. Maybe we never took the time to question it. So just getting that clarity right out in front of us so that we understand how we are programmed to react. And then by using breathing techniques, staying in the inflating wide nostril, intentional breathing throughout the day. Now we are not so quick to take hasty actions, but we are observing and seeing the clarity of situations at a much higher rate because we are cool, calm, and collected. And now, by writing down these things, but being mentally ready to make our best decisions, right? By being full of oxygen, getting good sleep, being hydrated, all these fun deals that we need. Now we can actually change the way we operate within those relationships. Now, it's going to take, creating a set of daily focus points, right? If you do go through this exercise and you find that there are some ways that you want to change the way you operate in a certain relationship or the way you are with everyone, whatever it might be, then it takes clarity, right? Just writing down, letting the mind just spitball everything out onto paper of the way that we believe in our subconscious we are meant to be. That's what's been ingrained in us. Now we can look at how do we want to be. We can write that down, find the difference between how we are being and how we want to be. Write those down into a set of daily affirmations and uh, focus points to practice. And now we can start to make real change bit by bit, piece by piece. Progress is not, about perfection. It's about do a little better today. I like to say a little better each day in every way. A little better each day in every way. And we just keep getting a little better and a little better. So that's my thoughts today on how a thought works. Obviously, manifestation is it kind of goes with that. People have their different, ideas on that. I think just visualization is what that all entails is I got to see it first, right? I got to believe it and see it, and then it'll come. I got to almost seduce that which I desire. But in my experience, guys, manifestation only truly works at its, at a high capacity when there is an unselfish motive, when there is a impact that we can have on others, when, it's to see more light, to see more happiness for others. This is just my experience. This is when even, the material wins and everything started to really happen was when the impact was the main focus, and that remains. So we'll take you out with a little sacral Tibetan singing bowl today so that we can go out. This is for ridding ourselves of fears, for full expression of spirit, enjoying life, all of that. Wrong side. See, there I am, even thinking that there's right and wrong, huh? Just a little better each day in every way, catch ourselves. Like, hey, I'm working on that. There's one opportunity to practice. Have to catch it again. There you go. Well, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Question Everything with J Raj on What is a Thought. I hope today you'll sit down and just analyze a little bit, figure out if there's any relationships where you can be different, where where we can be more elevated versions of ourselves, treating everyone the way that we want to treat them. I don't know if there's even a rule color thing on that, like gold or platinum or anything, but treat people the way we want to treat them. Because I think deep down we all want to be good to each other. But, just rewiring the thoughts. Much love, you guys. Sending lots and lots of love out. I wish you all abundance, just tons and tons of joy all week. And for the challenging moments, just remember to breathe, widen the nostrils, let in all that life force, and breathe out love. Then respond. All right, you guys, I love you. Enjoy.